Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. I wanted to introduce myself, Cindi Jacobs, and my company is Simply Done. I offer a multitude of design services, and tonight's focus, we're going to talk about home organization. All right, so tonight, as I said, we're going to talk about organization and kind of maybe take a little bit of the fear out of it, and I'm going to talk to you about how do you start and what do you do. So we'll move right along. So the first is, why organize? Why bother? Where to begin? How do you start? What do you do? What do you do for a plan? Setting up systems. We'll talk a little bit about systems and solutions. We'll kind of group them together. And then the maintenance of it. What are some ways to continue with the maintenance? So if anybody notices the picture, and if you feel like that a little bit, people say, you know, it takes too much time. It's going to give me anxiety, just to even start. A lot of people have a very overwhelming feeling when they come into a room that's got a lot going on, and they just don't even know where they want to start. And it's just going to get cluttered again. You know, it's going to get out of control. The kids aren't going to, you know, keep it up. And so what do we do? So some fun little statistics that I can give you. That these are actual statistics that are done from surveys. And I don't know if you can see all the way down, but I'll read you all of them. So the first is, we wear 20% of the clothes that we own 80% of the time. So think about the amount of clothes that you have and 20%. So even those teenagers wear a lot of the same things over and over. The average person spends 55 minutes a day looking for something. And that equates to 2 weeks a year. And the newest study that is out now, based on the average age, you spend 1 year of your lifetime looking for something that you can't find, or that you don't know, can't put it at your fingertips easily. 1 year. Think about just even 2 weeks, what you would do with 2 free weeks of time. IKEA did a survey of customers in which 31% reported that they were more satisfied after clearing out their closets than they were after sex. I'm just New York Times, not me. 80% of what we keep, we never use. So there's a lot of people keep things in closets or in basements, and we're not even talking clothes, items that they just don't ever use. They think they're going to use it. It's the someday. I may need that. Getting rid of clutter, this is a very good one, eliminates 40% of the housework in an average home. 80% of the clutter in most homes is a result of disorganization, not lack of space. And you hear this over and over because everyone's, you know, turning into minimalization in their home, and smaller homes, smaller footprints. You see the tiny houses on, you know, TV now and everything. And it really comes down to the clutter, not the actual disorganization. So organization is not something you do just once. It's a way of life. And I use that, I believe that came from Peter Walsh, who's a famous organizer that Oprah Winfrey got involved with, and his name and everything else took off. So it really comes down to, people say, well, if I'm going to do all of this, you know, and then I just think it should just stay like this. And it's really something that it's constantly moving and updating, because you're not using the same products, your kids aren't using the same things. I mean, we grow into a certain size and we hope to stay that size for a while, but the kids, it's always evolving, always changing. Newest electronics are coming out, and everybody's saving the old ones. You know, my husband for the longest time wouldn't get rid of his BlackBerry. What are you doing with that? I know you're not using it. You know, the old iPhones, the kids are like, well, I can get some money for that. Okay, try. Get some money for that. You know, like, it's constantly coming in and going out. Quality versus quantity. This is a huge one, because Americans want more. It's all about stuff, stuff, stuff. And stuff makes you feel better, but only for a short period of time, right? It's kind of like, you ever go in a store and you see all the stuff that's on sale, and you're buying it and buying it because it's all on sale. But in reality, if you're not going to wear it, it doesn't matter if you got the shirt for $4.99 if you're not going to wear it. It's just going to take up space. So it's look at the quantity. Don't look at the quantity of one's stuff, but at the quality of one's relationships and life. That's really what it comes down to. Taking that time, saving that time, the quality of your life. When making decisions and purchasing items, you can ask yourself if the decision or the item will bring you closer to your goal or push you farther away. I literally did a presentation where I walked around the room and we were talking about goals and things like that. And so if you want an uncluttered space to be able to do your homework or prepare your meals. And so the goal is to have a clean counter. And then you go out and you find something in a store that's another really cute little vase or a cutesy little thing that holds something. And you have to ask yourself before you buy that, is that going to bring me closer to my goal or bring me farther away? And if you put that before anything you do or anything you go to buy, it will stop you from buying it. It's a really easy trick, and you'll think about that. I have this one woman who comes up to me still to this day, and before I buy something, she said, I feel like there's Cindi going, is it bringing closer to my goal or farther away? It's a physical way of looking at it. And then lastly, it's down at the bottom of the slide, what is the vision you have for your life? What is the vision you have for your life? Not my vision. Each of you have separate visions. And if you think about it in that way, and you want, the child's playroom to be more organized, you want the vision that you're going to enjoy and play games and have those things out, and you have a place for them, because you want to be around the table during that time. What's the vision for your life? And then try to work towards that goal. So, how do you start? What are the steps? I, different from Marie Kondo, don't use the word joy in front of everything. It makes sense for some people, but not everybody feels joy with everything that they own. And I do this because I work with some elderly people, and a lot of times it's the memories, it's the feeling that they get thinking back on it, but it's not necessarily joy. It could be that they were proud of their kids, or something that made them feel good or that they want to hold on to, but it might not necessarily be joy. When you have all your kids' clothes and they're going through, it might not bring you joy, but you need them. They're a function. So functional planning is the first one. Decide what you want to use a space for. Some rooms may have to have, 2 or 3 functions that go on inside that room. So you could have a kitchen that's got a little nook or a table that you use for dinner, but you also have to use that for homework. So think about, before you bring in other pieces of furniture or do other things, what the space is going to be used for, because that's really important. And again, it goes along with the vision. And then the layout is huge for the function. What I find in most cases is people have too much furniture. Because they've got the table, and then they've got the bureau, and they've got another bureau. And what you find is, then you just keep filling those spaces. But visually, if you look around a room, there's a little, I call it kind of a cheat thing that I do. If you look around a room, each of the objects in a space are counted. But if they're grouped together, they're counted as one. So if I had 3 little knickknacks and I spaced them out, and you count around the room, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go all the way around, and you've got too many. But if you took the little knickknacks or the books and you group them together, they become one. And what happens is your visual self is looking for white space. And it necessarily doesn't mean it's white, it means it's without anything. And that calms your insides, it calms your body, it calms your mind, so that you have some space that has nothing on it. Do you ever see in a kid's room when they put up all the posters and they have everything going on, and you come into the room, and even when the bed's made and there's nothing on the floor, it's still overwhelming. It's because there isn't any white space. any calmness. So that's something to think about, even with the teenagers. And believe me, my daughter likes a lot of stuff, and she's a teenager. And she will go through phases where she'll say, I need my room calm, Mom. And we'll take down all of her pictures and take a picture of them and then start over again. And you see her shoulders just go, like she feels calmer, she feels better, like that she's in a good place again. Does that make sense? So I utilize a system for clutter control, and I have called it, I name it PDS. It stands for Purge, Donate, Save. When I start in a room, if I've decided what the function's going to be in that room, what's going to stay in that room, I literally take 3 pieces of white paper and I write Purge on one, Donate on one, and Save on one. And we find sections in the room to put them in. So the Save you want to have on a flat surface if you can. It can be the floor, it can be a bed, it can be a table. It's really good to be able to sort them out, okay? The Save, that's the Save pile. The Donate pile, I suggest using large garbage bags or contractor bags. Contractor bags hold a lot. They have them at Home Depot, but they're kind of expensive. If you're near an Ocean State job lot, super cheap, and they hold a lot. So if you're going through clothes and you need to get a bunch of stuff out and want to get it donated, you put it all in that. You can put it in a St. Paul's bin. You can put them in, you can drop them off at a Savers. I'm sure they have, even the bins here at Family Promise years ago when I organized the offices, they have bins, and I don't know how they go, but I think there's one for maybe clothing, there's probably one for like appliances, and then there's furniture in another area. But think about donating, because other people could use it. As long as it's not ripped or soiled, it's great. And then Purge, you want to have that be, you want the Save to be the smallest pile if you can, if you keep that in mind, but the Purge, you want to kind of have that be the biggest, if you're really doing this like your first pass through. And what I teach people is have the Purge near when you're working with it, have it right next to you, but when you're taking that stuff, put that towards the door. The Donate pile, when you're done with however much time you decide to set aside to do this, put that in the front seat of your car, if you can, because then you will take it and you will drop it off. It will be sitting there right in front of you, knowing that you've got to do it. So then we're going to talk a little bit about the solutions to functional storage, the systems, and the maintenance. So the 3 piles, continuing on with the Purge, Donate, Save. Some questions to ask yourself. Have I used this or worn it in the last year? Now, I know that's hard. There are some ways to do this. If you have hangers and your clothes are on hangers, you turn around the things that you've worn. So when you put them back, you put them in the opposite way. It will show you that you probably wore 20 to 30% of what was there during the course of that year. It's kind of a trick if you want to see. You can even try it for a couple of months or one season, like seasonal clothes. There are some clients that I work with that if you really feel uncomfortable getting rid of it that quickly, but you don't wear it, you can put it in a clear storage bin and put it away, like in a closet or in an attic, and then see if you go back to it. If you go back to it and try to, want it, then that's okay, you bring it back out. But if you're not ready to purge after 1 year, it is hard sometimes to go that quickly. Does this item serve a clear purpose in my life? Do I have another item in my home that does the same thing? I have a lot of clients that have several things that do the same thing. And then you just get inundated with all those things. There are people that have 3 vacuums, 3 brooms, I don't know, toasters, appliances, coffee. If it all already does the same thing, then you don't need more than one. Why donate? We covered some of this in some of the places. You can take some things to consignment shops or Free Cycle. I don't know if they have one in Natick. They probably do. Where I live, they have one, and you can keep churning things around, and you post it up, you take a picture of it, and someone says, yes, I want it. Or even amongst yourselves, like if you have different kids or different ages, and you just say, hey, I have XYZ. Is anyone interested? And when you do drop things at Savers, you do get a little write-off, but the tax laws have changed, so I don't know how much they're doing these days with charity. Save it. If it's your current size, if it works, if it doesn't work, will you actually get it fixed? Ask yourself that. Because I have so many times people saying, I'm going to get this piece of jewelry fixed. I'm going to get, this mirror that's cracked and got a thing on the side. I'm going to get it fixed. Well, in reality, are you really going to get it fixed? And then let it go if not. Because really, it's taking up what we call valuable real estate. Keep it if it saves you time or space and makes your life easier or brings you joy. Those are kind of mine. As I said before, I'm just not just all joy. It's got to bring me, function. It's got to have some good vibes. But it doesn't necessarily always make me walk around, yay, So what are some do-it-yourself or budget solutions? Some of the things that I suggest are inside your drawers. You can use a shoe box or a box that came from Amazon or any box. You cut off the top so that you can easily look into it and get into it. And I even separate socks that way, because you've got the summer little no-shows, and then the kids have taller socks. And it's great to separate things out. Bras and underwear, if they're both in the same drawer, it's really nice to just separate them into a box if it's kind of, chaos. Crates and bins. An incredible thing to use is a $4 or $5 crate. And think about the crate. It can go upright, so the opening is here, and they'd go on top of each other, and it's open. It can go this way if you're collecting, and you've got younger kids, and you want to be able to throw the stuff in to collect whatever it is that, shoes or anything. Crates are amazing, and you can stack them up, and they become a shelf system. For $15, you made yourself a shelf system. Does anyone use crates at home? Yeah? No? Yeah, do they work well for you?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get them white or black. I always say if it's like shoes or things that can get dirty, get the dark colored crates because you won't see it as much. And then if it's in a bathroom or whatever, and you don't have a place like for extra toilet paper or paper towels, you can use a crate. They're incredible. A plastic clear shoe tree is not just for shoes. It's pretty amazing what a shoe tree can hold. My kids played a lot of sports. And I have one downstairs as you come into the door on the back of a door because they were constantly losing their soccer socks, their shin guards, all those things. And we put them on the back. And then I decided, well, this is crazy. It's overflowing. On the back of the door is huge, valuable real estate. The back of the kids' closet door, maybe it's the things that they don't always wear or that they do need to get to. My son would put in his belts, ties, because he never wore ties, but then when he needed a tie, he couldn't find a tie. So all of the things, all these, and make sure it's clear. They have these at Walmart, Target. You do not have to buy this from the Container Store. You can get them really inexpensive. Online, sometimes they'll even have them for like $9 or something. And you don't always have to hook them over the door because then the door doesn't shut all the way, and teenagers really want their door shut, at least mine always did. And you can take the little grommets that are up at the top and you can just use one of those 3M hooks and just clip it into that and just clip it onto the back. My suggestion would be on the bottom is not only clip it onto the top, but it moves with the shoes, so you just get a little sticky underneath, and they don't need necessarily have the grommets on the bottom, and you just stick it to the back of the door. It's a great way to utilize the space that you have. Then there's something called a wardrobe, and it's not your big, huge, fancy wardrobe. It's a linen or plastic. It usually has 3 hooks on the top, and what it does is if you have a place that you can hang something, if it's in a basement or if it's in a different room or part of the closet if the closet's big enough, and you want to put all your, it's usually more for adults and things, all your dressier things or something that you want to save but that you don't want to be able to need to get to all the time. They put them in what's called a wardrobe, and or things that you're saving that are special to you. You know, put those in a wardrobe closet and those hook on. You'll see now if you only have a bar in your closet and you don't have the crates, you can get the little things that hook on, and they attach with Velcro, and they hold like sweaters or any kind of like stacking, like if kids do little tank tops and things like that, summery kind of things. Those are great, and those are really inexpensive too. So those were some of the solutions. I want to look at some of your things before we go into the tips and the make. So teenagers' clothes. We talked about utilizing the back of the door. Working with them in trying to incent them in a way of something that they want or that they want to do or be able to have their friends over or sleep over. You can incent them by saying to them, you know, I really need you to spend an hour in your room and go through your clothes that don't fit anymore. Or they really want something that they see in a store. And this was my daughter. I really, 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 really want that. Well, what are you going to give me in your clothes? Like, can you give me 3 articles of clothing if you want this new piece? Because there's no room. You know, same thing that when they were younger with the stuffed animals. Oh my God, another stuffed animal, another one of the same kind. And you were just kind of like, you've got to be kidding me. You have these. So give me 5, you know, and make a pinky swear or whatever, and give me 5 of these, and then I'll get you that one. But you want to incent them in some way. If there's something they want to ride to go to XYZ, to the mall, to be dropped off, yeah, give me half an hour. You know, sure, you can close your door. Give me half an hour of cleaning this up. Kitchen dishes. I just did a kitchen today. The bottom line was she had so many plates, so many cups, so many saucers. So we put away some of the little bit nicer ones that she wanted to keep but didn't necessarily use all the time. So those went in the part of the closet part of the cabinet that you couldn't even see. Anything that was chipped, we got rid of. Any coffee cups that were chipped or broken. And then we kept the mixing bowls together, the plasticware together, and even if it sits inside of it, but the main thing was usually too much. Usually too much. How many things of Tupperware can you fit inside your refrigerator? And how many do you have now? And how many of those have no lids? There's no lids. You know, how many, and then you put it back in the drawer each time. So then if your goal is to have a kitchen of the things that you use, is putting that lid back inside when you know, or putting the Tupperware back inside when you know you have no lid, is that bringing you closer to your goal or farther away from your goal? Just insert that in front of it. Pets. So pets need their own little station too. They need their own little spot, because what happens is it gets worked in with everything else, and then you get frustrated, and what happens is you're going to grab for something, you're trying to get out the door, I forgot to feed the darn dog, you know, I got to get back over there again. So if they have their own space, it also helps you to know and not overbuy. you know, the cans of cat food. You can also utilize a service so that it comes automatic, you know, like the Amazon Prime, if you're ordering your cat food. And just so you have it like separated so you know, oh, I'm running low, rather than I don't have any. And so where the dog is and where the cats are, and just, we had a dog for many years, and we had a clear plastic container for the dog food, because if it was in some dogs, if it's in the paper, they can open that up and rip it and cause you pain, right? So if, you know, you spend the money one time to get the plastic container, and then you dump it in there and recycle the rest. And setting up a little station, a little space, and they like it too. It's just like where they sleep. You know, if you've got a crate or the bedding, they keep going back to the same place, and they know where their food is. So I would set up a separate little station, kind of out of the way. Yes, it's difficult with the, you know, the pet food, but you know the little boot trays that have a little lip on them? Use the little boot trays, you know, for the cats, or if they have to eat in 2 separate places, like a little boot tray goes a long way. Makeup. How much makeup do you have?
Oh my God, I'm a hairdresser, so we do a lot of makeup at the salon.
Okay.
So then it's very difficult. We have to keep it, you know, like a sanitized, and it's just like we have it on the closet, but it's like sometimes it's difficult. No, everyone, you know, is organized. Sometimes we just run away and we just put it in there, and so that's why it's just like we have a lot of makeup.
So one of the things I suggest is clear storage. They look like shoe boxes. They're only about that tall. Some are taller, but about that tall. And what I would suggest is grouping the things together so that if it's all related to eyes, and then you label it eyes, and then you might have another clear one that's all related to foundation or lips. Separate them out, because otherwise, you know, your makeup's only supposed to last 3 months, and we all have stuff that's over 3 months. I mean, I'll be the first to raise my hand, you know, because I don't use it that often. So I think, well, didn't really get 3 months out of it, but I've had the darn thing for over a year. So I would separate them and continually go through them to keep the ones, and label. Makeup, you know, keep it so that it's functional without, what am I trying to say? Without being overwhelming or too much of it, because you really go to the same products all the time, right? Another thing that I do is I don't know if anyone has this issue, but in my car, I have this, it's supposed to go inside of a purse. And it really is just one little thing with all these little pockets. And because I'm driving here and there, and so I have lipstick in one, you know, I have a pen in one, and then I have a little thing like that big of blush. I don't know, just to have it, because sometimes I just feel like it's just there. And so there's some lipstick and things like that. So I think that may help too, get some of the makeup out of, you know, the closet or the area, and have it in your car if that's something that you do. So tips and maintenance. Thin hangers, the velvet hangers, and they go on sale a lot. They take up 25% less space than the plastic hangers.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes. So for teenagers, now they do break a little bit easier. So if you have a teenage boy that's a little bit rough, my boy gets the white plastic hangers, and my daughter got the black velvet. I can't say that she's that much more daintier than he is, though, honestly. But if it's a small closet and space is of the utmost concern, and it's going to bring you closer to your goal, then you might want to start to invest little by little. You know, TJ Maxx, Marshalls sometimes. They like have velvet hangers. Yeah. Usually the black ones are the cheapest, because they're just kind of, everybody has the black ones, but why not?
And my oldest daughter, she's like super organized. So if you look in her drawers, like everything's folded this exact same way and color coordinated and by type, and her like closet too, like, you know, short sleeves, color coordinated. So what, like,
That's what, right.
my other one is like a tornado.
Yeah. Again, what does get her motivated? Find out what motivates her and use that to your advantage so that you then get what you want.
Yeah, and like when she organizes, like my middle one, like she'll do a great, but she just can't maintain it, like.
Right.
It drives me crazy. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do that.
And
How
they,
small is your closet organized?
right.
Put a half hour into that and I'll take you to that.
And if one has another skill set from the other and they can work together, one could say, okay, you need help with your math homework, or you need help, you know, me critiquing your dance routine. I need help with my closet. Or mom wants me to do the closet so I can go to the mall. What do you think?
Yeah, they would do that.
You give me half an hour, I'll give you half an hour?
I like negotiating.
You know? I actually do that with girlfriends for my closet. Even though I'm a professional organizer, there are times with some of my clothes that I'm just hesitant on what to get rid of. And we will work with each other and just kind of, you know, spend a few minutes to just say, hey, what, you know, they more use me than I use them, but I still sometimes do use them. I'm just like, what do you think? And, you know, and they're like, yeah, you wear that shirt all the time. And I'm like, I know, because it's really comfortable. But, you know, it's ratty. Like, I know. An entry welcome mat. Sounds like a simple little thing. But if you have a mat in front of your apartment door that says like welcome, or it's got a flower on it, or a pattern that you like, what a great way when you first come home that's the first thing that you see is your little welcome mat. If you can find one and they're inexpensive, it's just a great way, especially when it's spring here. It's like you're just so sick of the winter and you're like, I just want to come home and feel like my shoulders go down. A little tiny welcome mat goes a long way. So we talked about reducing the number of items, and the space will increase visually. So again, back to the white space, and it's not necessarily white, but it's just a visual of clarity, clear, stopping to just kind of have some freedom, peace of mind. Sometimes it's okay. You don't have to, every single wall doesn't have to have a picture on it. It really doesn't. Every single amount of the countertop, you know, you want that space to be able to make the sandwiches, to be able to mix the meal, or take it out and make muffins with the kids or cookies. But if you're always like having to go, I got to move all this to make this happen, then you less chance that it's going to happen, right? Install hooks, a corkboard, or baskets for shoes. Getting items off the floor. There's nothing worse than coming home or coming into a space. You come home from a day at work and you walk in and there's stuff all over the floor. And it just already sets the mood or the tone. And so if there are baskets that are periodically obviously maintained and gone through, but if there are baskets, if the kids fight over, you know, their shoes, you get this basket for your shoes and you get this basket. It's the same with hooks. Kids aren't great about hanging up winter coats. It's almost maybe it's not a fact, but I'd say 80% of the kids rather have hooks. So you look at all these California closets and people spend all this money and they have these beautiful, all the bars, you know, the separate things. And what happens? Where are the coats? On the floor. Or they're on whatever surface is open and available. I see that. I'm a teenager. Whoosh. If you've got hooks, inexpensive hooks that just go up on the wall, Home Depot, they will use a hook. They will. They might not put their backpack on it, but they'll put their coat on it. And then when they're looking for their coat and they can't find it, you can say, did you put it on the hook? Right? Not to be a wise person, but. And then a cork board is a great idea if you've got, you know, messages that are going back and forth, or there's got to be a permission slip that's got to go, and you leave extra little push pins on the corkboard. And if you've got a big family, take a piece of ribbon, put a ribbon down the middle and a ribbon across, and each person gets a quadrant. Your messages, your stuff goes in there. Your permission slip is over there. Your ticket to XYZ is over there. It helps. And a corkboard is an inexpensive. You can even get, an old frame or something, if you're a DIYer, an old frame, and you can put, cork squares and figure out how to double them up, and so you can use a push pin in them. It helps. And last on the left side is a simple centerpiece of greens or wildflowers on the kitchen table. You can go out and find lilacs that are like not on somebody's property. Wildflowers. Kids love going by. I mean, you don't have to go out and buy yourself some, in Whole Foods, some expensive bouquet. And it just goes up. My kids started doing it when they were really little. They'd go on walks, and I'd get dandelions and white flowers, and I'm like, oh, that's so nice. Sneezing and everything. And you put them on the table, and it's just an easy way to perk up for the spring. How do you maintain? I don't have time. Going back to time. Set a timer. Even if it's 15, once you've done the work, okay, initially it does take time to go through and do the rooms, but set a 15-minute timer. Why not? Set a 15-minute timer for the child. When they were younger, my kids, I would set it by their age. You should be able to do, if you're 15 years old, you should be able to clean up in 15 minutes. You're not asking for an hour at that point. And once they get the hang of it, then you can ask for that 15 minutes, and it's much easier. So get the kids involved. The 1-year clothing rule we talked about, and if you can't do 1 year and you want to go to 2, put them away, though, so they're not sitting there in the closet. Put them in a plastic container and let them, put them away for that next year. And if you haven't gone after them and you haven't wanted them, when you go back down, put it right into the donate. Don't look back. Don't go through it again. Toys, 1 in, 2 out at a minimum. 1 in, 2 out. You want a new one, and it's not Christmas, and it's not your birthday? Well, you're going to have to give me something. It's a negotiation. They do it with you all the time. 15 more minutes of screen time, 10 more minutes for bedtime, right? You give it back to them. Stick with your vision. Stick with what your vision is. What you want it to be like for you. What kind of peace of mind do you want for your brain? We only have, one place that, usually that we come home to, that we're at, and, you want it to be your vision. Your children come under your roof. They're entitled to their room, but you still can have cleanup time and cleanup days. So in summary, own your space. Own your stuff. Don't let it own you. It's really a lot of it's all just stuff. Create a calm, comfortable environment for yourself. Look not at the quantity of one's stuff, but at the quality of one's relationships and one's life. We started out in the beginning, more is not necessarily better. One of my taglines is always, less is more. And it's true. Experiment. Nothing is permanent. Even if you're making little changes in your home, like, the little mat that you bought for the door, or you decide that you're going to change the paint, in the color of a room to brighten it up. It's really only paint. It's really only a mat, a bouquet of flowers, the little things. The plastic shoe tree holder. Try it out. Maybe it holds all their socks. Maybe it holds their sports stuff. Maybe that doesn't end up working. And that's okay. They can try it for something else. So the bottom line is an organized home does provide peace of mind. And I hope that I shared some of that with you today to understand what it means, and that if anything, you can take away that you deserve it. There's no reason why you can't make some of the changes and see how they impact you. See what it brings you. Because I want all of you to have peace of mind. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Very nice.